That Prabhu. And we especially appreciate the nice handouts.
Yes.
If anybody didn't get a handout, we have an extra. Okay, you can come and get it. Yeah, he has to run because he has some more engagement. And even though Mukunda did take an extra amount of time, nobody else should imitate him. He's in a special category. We have four more rides too. Wow. Okay. Oh yeah. Sure. Oops. Our next speaker will be Nagapatni. This is my god sister, Nagapatni.
Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Pranamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pacharne Nirvishesha Sanyavadi Tatsatya Tatsatane Om Aganachamirandasya Jananjana Salataya Chaksunilitanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jai, thank you so much for inviting me. Jai Srila Rupa Goswami. In 1975, Srila Prabhupada translated Srila Rupa Goswami's Upadesamrta into the Nectar of Instruction. In September of that year, Tamal Krishna Goswami, thinking he would really please Srila Prabhupada, came to him and told him, we've printed now 10,000 of these books. And Prabhupada turned to him and said, why so few? And Tamal Krishna, trying to explain, he said, well, isn't this book meant just for devotees, and we only have 8,000 devotees now, so we thought it would be sufficient. And Prabhupada said, no. This book is for everyone. And the interesting thing is today in America, in the BBT, they sell more of the Upadesamrta, the Nectar of Instruction, than any other book. Because these truths transcend. They transcend bodily identification. They transcend the nationality identification. They speak to the pure spirit soul. And anyone who's looking to improve any type of spiritual practice will find solace, comfort, and direction from Srila Rupa Goswami's words. Today's world offers more means of communication than we've ever seen before. Of course, we've had TV for 75 years, we've had radio for longer, and now the internet, it reaches out to the most remote corners of the world. And there's so many different venues on this internet. Unfortunately, it's filled with false information, with lies, with offensive material, and a lot of nonsense. And they're just discovering today that children are easily tapping into this nonsense. And they are just acknowledging how dangerous it is for the children. How it's causing a great problem to their well-being. It's causing depression, it's causing self-doubt, It's causing anxiety and corruption. And the governments really have no idea what to do. Of course, we understand from Srimad Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita that the government has a responsibility to help the people in their spiritual life, because this human form of life is so rare, so valuable. But the teachers, the government, the parents, they're at a loss for giving real, true, helpful guidance. The governments don't offer any type of sense control. There's no discussion of subduing anger or controlling the tongue. But yet we find this very sweet sage, Srila Rupa Goswami, 500 years ago wrote this Upadesamrta, which answers this problem. This one book is particularly interesting because it could bring one from animal consciousness up to the highest consciousness, the highest platform of spiritual realization. A human being is meant to be trained according to certain principles to revive his original knowledge. Such a methodical life is called tapasya. One can be gradually elevated to the standard of real knowledge by Krishna consciousness or by practicing austerity, celibacy, by controlling the mind, by controlling the senses, by giving one's possessions in charity, by being avowedly truthful, by keeping clean and practicing yoga asana. However, Srila Rupa Goswami has said that if one is fortunate enough to get the association of a pure devotee, he can easily surpass all the practices for controlling the mind by the mystic yoga process, and simply by following the regular principles of Krishna consciousness, refrain from illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling. And by engaging in the service of the Supreme Lord under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, this easy process is recommended by Rupa Goswami. First, it's recommended that one controls his speaking power. We all have the power to speak, and usually when given an opportunity, we take it. If we do not speak about Krishna, his pastimes, his associates, his qualities, his instructions, then we are just like the toad in the field. And that toad in the field, he speaks by croaking. And that croaking is saying to the snake, "Please, I'm over here, come eat me." The talking of materialists and even the Mayavadi philosophers may be compared to the croaking of frogs. They are always talking nonsense, inviting death to catch them. Controlling speech doesn't mean self-imposed silence, as some Mayavadis think. Silence may appear helpful for some time, but ultimately it proves a failure. By contrast, the controlled speech advocated by Srila Rupa Goswami is a positive process in glorifying the Supreme Lord, Krishna. The tongue can thus glorify the name, form, qualities, pastimes of the Lord. The preacher of Krishna Katha is always beyond the clutches of death. This is the significance of controlling the urge to speak. The fickleness of the mind is controlled when one can fix his mind on the lotus feet of Krishna. Krishna Suran Samamaya Haya Hadakara Yahan Krishna Tahanahi Mayaradikara. Krishna is just like the sun, and Maya is just like darkness. If the sun is present, there is no question of darkness. Similarly, if Krishna is present in the mind, there is no possibility of the mind becoming agitated by Maya's influence. The yoga process of negating all material thoughts will not help. To try to create a vacuum in the mind is artificial. The vacuum will not remain. However, if one always thinks of Krishna and how to serve Krishna best, one's mind will naturally be controlled. Similarly, anger can be controlled. We cannot stop anger altogether, but we can simply apply anger in the proper way against those who blaspheme the Supreme Lord or his devotees. We control our anger in Krishna consciousness. Lord Chaitanya gave a wonderful example when he became angry with the miscreant brothers Jagai and Madhai, who blasphemed and struck Lord Nityananda Prabhu. In his Shishastika, Lord Chaitanya wrote, Tranadapi Sanichena Tanorapi Sanishuna. One should be humbler than the blade of grass and more tolerant than a tree. So we may ask, why did Lord Chaitanya exhibit his anger? The point is, one should be ready to tolerate all insults to one's own self. But when Krishna or his pure devotee is blasphemed, a genuine devotee becomes angry and acts like fire against the miscreants. Krodha anger cannot be stopped, but it can be applied rightly. It was in anger that Hanumanji burnt Lanka, but he is worshipped as the foremost devotee of Lord Ramachandra. He utilizing anger in the right way. Another example is Arjuna. Srila Prabhupada said that Krishna spoke to Arjuna for 2 hours to incite him to be angry enough to fight in the battle of Kurukshetra. But one can't fight unless he's angry. So anger is controlled when used in the service of the Lord. As for the urges of the tongue, we all experience that. The tongue wants to eat palatable dishes. Generally, we should not allow the tongue to eat according to its choice, but should control the tongue by giving it Krishna Prasad. The devotee's attitude is that he will eat only when Krishna gives him prasada. The urge of the tongue and the belly can be controlled in this way. And similarly, in the same manner, the urges of the genitals, the sex impulses, can be controlled when not used unnecessarily. The genitals should only be used to beget Krishna-conscious children. Otherwise, they will only be a distraction and a constant agitation. When one is fully practiced in the method of Krishna-conscious control recommended by Srila Rupa Goswami, he becomes dhira, peaceful and content. He is qualified to become a bona fide spiritual master. His life is auspicious everywhere he goes, and he brings peace and happiness. The conclusion is that one who can control these 6 items, speech, mind, anger, tongue, belly, genital, is to be called a Swami or Goswami. Swami means master, and Goswami means master of the senses. As followers of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, we should all engage in the transcendental loving service of Shri Shri Radha Krishna, as opposed to the Godasa, engaged in the service of the senses or in the service of the material world. Prahlad Maharaj has further described the Godasa as a Dantago, which refers to a person whose senses are not controlled. A Dantago cannot become a servant of Krishna. For those who have decided to continue their existence in this material world for the gratification of their senses, there's no chance of becoming Krishna conscious. Not by personal endeavor, by instructions from others, or by joint conferences. They are dragged by the unbridled senses into the darkest region of ignorance, and thus they madly engage in what is called chewing the chewed. Srila Prabhupada said, we always request members of the International Society of Krishna Consciousness to publish as many books as possible throughout the world. Thus, by following in the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami, one can become a Rupa Nuga devotee. There is a room at the Radha Damodar temple that looks over Srila Rupa Goswami's samadhi. This is where Srila Prabhupada would sit and become inspired by Srila Rupa Goswami. Srila Prabhupada said from 1956 to 1965, I was in Vrindavan. I would sit at Radha Damodar and think and chant and see the samadhis of Srila Rupa Goswami. I would type and cook a little. These samadhis are the best devotee of Vaishnavism. They gave me inspiration to go to the West. I have 100 places to go now, but I still like it there best. Srila Prabhupada said this place, Radha Damodar Temple, is where the great acharyas would come to discuss Krishna Katha. Here, Srimad Bhagavatam, he called it the hub of the universe. All glories to all the great devotees who specifically came to this horrible material world to help conditioned souls find their way back home, back to Godhead. And especially to Srila Rupa Goswami, who helped formulate the plan to take it back to the West and then bring it back again to India. His mercy has been continuing for the past 500 years, and by the mercy of those who embrace it, it will continue to exist for the next 10,000 years. So I'll end here. Thank you very much. I did come across this one prayer I wanted to share by Srila Rupa Goswami. And of course, he wrote this prayer to help us understand the proper mode. And I can very much appreciate it. It's in the Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. I have no love for Krishna, nor for the cause of developing love for Krishna, namely hearing and chanting. In the process of Bhakti Yoga, by which one is always thinking of Krishna and fixing his lotus feet in the heart, is also lacking in me. As far as philosophical knowledge or pious works are concerned, I don't see any opportunity for me to execute such activities. But above all, I am not even born in a nice family. Therefore, I must simply pray to you, Gopi Jana Vallabha, Krishna maintainer and beloved of the gopis. I simply wish and hope that someday or other I may be able to approach your lotus feet. And this hope is giving me pain because I think myself quite incompetent to approach that transcendental goal of life. Thank you very much. Hare